And I'm a branding expert, speaker, and founder of Apricot Branding. So at Apricot Branding, I help small to mid-sized business owners really clarify their strategies, refine their design, and amplify their messaging so that way they can achieve greater results in your marketing and sales efforts. And in this presentation, we'll be talking about enhancing your SEO. Enhancing your SEO. Okay. So the word SEO stands for search engine optimization. So it just refers to the steps that we're taking to increase our rankings in the Google search. So we're thinking of how can we get our websites to rank on the first page of Google so that we can meet more customers and reach more customers online. So that's what we'll be talking about in this presentation is strategies to boost your search rankings. Okay. Okay, so let's dive right in. So in this presentation, we'll be talking about simple steps to enhance your SEO. So the goal of this presentation is not necessarily to be a detailed tutorial on how to do SEO because SEO is very complicated. So we don't have to cover every single detail. So if there's something that wasn't mentioned, then it just means that I decided to leave out that detail. So we're not looking at every single detail. Is the goal of this presentation is just to provide you with an overview of how these search engines work so that you're more familiar. And our key focus would be on leveraging the power of content. So leveraging the power of blogging and contents to improve our search rankings and also to enhance our credibility in our industry through the power of blog content. We'll also be talking about how can we track the results of our SEO efforts. So number one, we'll talk about building a successful blog that ranks on the first page for several keywords. We'll also talk about how do we track the results to see how it's doing. How do we track the results of our efforts? And then I'll also be providing you with some of the best and the worst practices for building a successful blog that ranks in the first page of Google. So in this presentation, I'll be providing you with very practical steps you can take to enhance your Google rankings. And then we'll have a Q&A at the ending. So I've been looking forward to this presentation. I hope you have been as well. We're going to dive right in and then we'll go into the Q&A. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to start with a shocking statistic. Here's a very shocking statistic. So do you know that Google controls up to 90.80% of global search engine market share? That's incredible, 90.80%. Second is Bing at 3.72%. So Google completely dominates the search, the online search engines. It completely dominates everything. So this statistic really emphasizes the importance of making sure that you're leveraging Google to really reach more customers where they are, to make sure that we're really leveraging Google in the right way, because Google completely dominates the entire search market. Another shocking statistic is that we have approximately 5.9 million Google searches every single minute. So that means that in the last minute where I have just been talking, we've had roughly 5.9 million searches around the world. So people are constantly searching on Google. They're searching for new products, they're searching for new services, they're searching for topics that they're interested in. And a fraction of these searches are searching for what you're offering. So a fraction of these people are looking for what you're offering. You're looking for your products, you're looking for your services, and you're trying to learn more about what you're offering, because usually before customers buy from a brand, they would first want to do their homework. They're going to want to learn more about it before they buy from your brand. So through content, you can provide them with more information about what you're selling so that when they're ready to buy from you, you're the first brand that comes to mind. Your brand is the first that comes to mind. And also, out of all these people who are searching online, only 0.44% go beyond the first page of Google. That's incredible. So out of all the people that search, only 0.44% go beyond the first page. So this statistic really emphasizes why it's so crucial to make sure that your business is ranking on the first page of Google for several keywords that your customers are searching for online. Because if it's not, then I can guarantee that you're missing out on a lot. So that's what we'll be talking about in this presentation, is how can we propel our websites to the first page of Google so that our brand stays top of mind when people are looking for our products, our offers, when they want to learn more. Okay, so when it comes to these search engines, there are two main aspects of search. So we have paid search. Paid search refers to when you pay Google to put your brand in front of customers right now based on what they search for. That's what we call using Google advertising. You can put your brand in front of customers right now. But in this presentation, we'll be focused on organic search, what we call organic search. So organic search is a much longer it takes a lot more time, and also it has a much higher return on investment because you're going to receive much longer term results. So through the power of content, you can really dominate the organic search and make sure that your website keeps popping up anytime people search for this word, this product, that service, making sure that your website pops up every single time. Because most websites, they don't even get that much traffic. So through the power of content, you can ensure that you're getting quality traffic coming to your website. You're getting quality people visiting your website. So one thing about blogging is that by integrating a blog onto your website, that would really help to enhance your Google rankings. It will also really help to enhance your credibility as well. Because if you have lots of content that you're putting out and your customers are seeing that content, that would increase the sense of trust that they have. You will see that they would share it. They would spend more time on your website. They would quote what you're saying. They would refer to your website. So all these things will help to enhance your brand's credibility, number one. It would also help to enhance your Google search rankings. Also, it would help to increase engagement on your website because ultimately, we don't want people to just leave. We want them to spend time on our website. We want them to engage with our website. We want them to buy from us. So that's what we're trying to accomplish here, is leveraging the power of blogging to propel our website to the top of the search engines to meet our customers where they are. Okay. All right, so before we begin talking about enhancing our search rankings, there's one important prerequisite that you need to know. There's one key thing that you need to know before we begin talking about enhancing your search rankings. So one thing we need to keep in mind is that Google does not like a slow website. So if your website is too slow, it'll be almost impossible to rank in the Google search if your website is too slow. So before we start talking about SEO or blogging, it's really crucial to make sure that your website is not too slow. So to you, your website may seem fine, but to other people, they may actually find your website to be very slow, especially Google. So Google might also find your website to be very slow. So one way to tell if your website is too slow is by using a website called Google Page Speed Insights. So Google has a program called Google Page Speed Insights. And when you type in your website domain, it would give you a score based on how fast it is or how slow it is. It would give you two scores, one for desktop and one for mobile. Because a fraction of people who are searching for your website for your brand will search from their computers, and some will search from their phones. So when it comes to the mobile search, it's really important for your website to have a page speed score of at least 50 out of 100. If your website page speed score is less than 50, then it means that your website is too slow on the mobile phone. So one thing that could be causing your website to be too slow on the mobile phone is if, let's say, for example, you have lots of YouTube videos. YouTube videos are notorious for slowing down websites on the phone. So if you have YouTube videos, then you could implement something called lazy load to prevent the videos from slowing down your website. If you have a developer, he might be familiar with what that is. So by implementing lazy load, that would prevent your videos from slowing down your website. Another thing that could slow down your website on the mobile phone is slide banners. So if you have all these slide banners on your website, these slide banners, they're notorious for slowing down websites on the mobile phone. They also tend to be very fast. So if you have slide banners, then you may consider either removing them or you can prevent them from showing on the mobile phone because that could really hurt your search rankings. Okay, so let's talk about desktop page speed. So when it comes to the desktop page speed, if your page speed is less than 80 out of 100, it means that your website is too slow on the laptop, on the desktop, and it needs to work. So there are different factors that could be making your website slow. So for example, if you have lots of programs running in the background, all these programs would really slow down your website if you have so many programs that you don't really need, or if you have very large pictures, in the background, that could really slow down your website. Let's say you have pictures that are thousands of gigabytes, you have pictures that are hundreds of megabytes. All these pictures are going to really slow down your website and weigh it down. Or if you have very large pictures, like 3,000 pixels, 5,000 pixels, all these things are going to slow down your website. So there's a website called TinyPNG where you can actually compress your images to prevent them from slowing down your website. Another factor that could be slowing down your website is your theme. So to those who don't know, a theme just refers to what your website is built on, the framework. So personally, in my business, one of the best decisions that I've made is switching to a faster theme. Because if your website uses a theme that's very slow, then it's gonna hurt your search rankings and it's gonna be harder to switch. So when you're picking your website theme, you have to consider also not just how pretty the theme looks, but you also have to consider the speed and aim for themes that are much faster. So by looking at all these key areas, you can definitely improve your page speed, your website speed. And once you improve your website speed, we can now talk about improving your Google rankings. Okay, so when it comes to improving your Google rankings, there are certain steps we need to take. So first, we need to gather the information that we need, because at this point, we're trying to create the content that our customers are searching for online, so that we're trying to optimize the content so that when they search for it, our website is on the first page every single time. So we need to look at other similar blogs in our niche, in our industry, because different industries, they have different topics, different things that they're talking about. This will give you ideas on what you can talk about in your blog by looking at similar blogs. And also different industries, they have different styles of how a blog should look. So like a blog for like a financial business will be very different from a blog from a beauty business. So you may consider like other blogs in your industry, in your niche. All these things will help to inform the decision making. Also, audience research. So we need to gain a better understanding of the customers that we're trying to attract. So as a business owner or as a marketer, it's really important to understand the kinds of content that your prospects will be most interested in, because that's the ultimate goal of this, is we're trying to attract our ideal prospects. We're trying to attract more customers over time. So we need to understand the kinds of content that they would like. So this can be based on, so for example, what are some of your pain points? What are some of their challenges? What are some of their goals? This would give us insights to the right topics that we could write about based on what they need, what they're looking for. We may also look at industry topics. So different industries, they all have different topics that are trending. They all have different topics that are trending. So you can find out what are people talking about in your industry. You can look on social media, for example, on Twitter, on Facebook, on LinkedIn. You would see what the kinds of things that other people are talking about. This would give us information on the right topics to talk about based on what's trending. Okay. And so when it comes to our blog articles, one huge factor that would be key to our success is the keywords that we choose. Because if we're choosing the wrong keywords, it'll be very hard to rank. And a lot of people, they have really nice blogs, they have really nice content, but they're targeting the wrong keywords that's no one is searching for, that's impossible to rank for. So we have to make sure that we're actually targeting the right keywords. Okay, so let's talk about keyword research tools in more details. So there are many tools that are out there that could provide you with insights on the right keywords to target. Some examples are SEMrush, Ubersuggest, and Moz. I'm not an affiliate for any of these people, but personally, I use Ubersuggest because it has a good experience. So with Ubersuggest, it provides you with a comprehensive breakdown on different keywords, so you can see how many searches they're getting every month, things like that. So you could also look at competitors. It could tell you what your competitors are ranking for. You could even make suggestions on the kinds of content that you can create with Ubersuggest. And a lot of times it's free. So when it comes to choosing the right keywords, there are three key things to consider when choosing the right keywords. The first is the search volume. So is this a keyword that people are actually searching for online? Are people actually searching for these keywords online? So for example, personally, I like to aim for a search volume of at least 1,000 per month at a minimum. So ideally, we're trying to aim for keywords that don't have too many searches and also don't have too few searches, because if the keyword is getting like 1 million searches every month, then it'll be very hard to rank for that keyword. So we're trying to find a middleman, not too many searches and not too few searches. Another thing to consider is SEO difficulty. So these different tools, they would give a score to the keyword based on how easy it is to rank for that keyword. So let's say, for example, you come across a keyword that has maybe 3,600 searches per month on average, but the keyword has a very low SEO difficulty. That means that's a golden egg right there. That's a golden goose just laid an egg, because that's a keyword that you should be targeting because it's very easy to rank for and it has a very good search volume. So we're considering how easy is it to rank for this keyword. So personally, I like to aim for an SEO difficulty of not more than 40. If it's higher than 40, it'll be very hard to rank for that keyword. So the lower the difficulty score, the better. Okay, so another key thing to consider is the average CPC. So CPC stands for cost per click. So cost per click, it just refers to how much are people willing to spend to rank for this keyword using Google Ads. So when we look at the CPC, if the average CPC is higher, it means that people are willing to spend more to rank for that keyword. And if people are willing to spend more to rank for that keyword, it means that it should be a very lucrative keyword because other people are looking to rank for that word. So you would consider the average CPC, the difficulty, and the volume. So let's say, for example, you come across a keyword that has a search volume of about 10 searches a month. Then that's a worthless keyword because no one is looking for that. But if you come across a keyword, let's say it's 3,000 searches every single month, then that's a much better keyword to target. Or if the SEO difficulty is maybe at 20, then that's a much better keyword to target. But the cost per click is very high. It means that people are willing to rank for that keyword. People are willing to pay to rank for that keyword, but it's also very easy to rank for. So we can definitely target it. So these are key things to consider. And you can find this information using programs like Ubersuggest or SEMrush or Moz. Okay, so now that we've picked the right keywords, we've done our research, the next step is to actually create the content around these keywords. We're trying to create content around these keywords that's going to attract our target customers, our ideal prospects, that's going to build our credibility. So here's some best practices for creating blog content. First is to plan, create, and schedule upfront. So when it comes to your blogging, consistency is key. Consistency is key. So if you're waiting to the last minute to write your blog post, then I can guarantee that you're going to miss certain weeks. You're going to miss certain days. So ideally, it's much better to plan this thing up front and just schedule it to launch consistently, because we don't want to miss any single week. It has to be consistent every single week. We're releasing new content. Another best practice is to release an article at least once or twice per week. Some people even argue that it shouldn't be less than twice a week. But even for as low at least once a week, you can still see results sometimes. But the sweet spot is twice a week. So it just depends on what's feasible. Um, so if you have weeks go by and you're not releasing any articles, then you shouldn't be surprised if it's not ranking, because you're not being consistent. You're not building momentum. So we have to be very consistent with our content creation. So overall, we should have at least 50 to 70 articles on our blog, because when it comes to blogs, we're not just talking about just having a few articles. So if we're trying to rank in the search, we have to aim for as many articles as we can, at least 50 to 70 total. So the more articles we can release, the better. The better our rankings, the better our traffic. So let's say, for example, we have 10 articles in the Google search, and 10 articles get like 100 clicks every single month on average. In that case, then we have that means we have 1,000 new visits every single month from potential customers. So that's a really good number. So the more blog posts we release, the better. Um, Another thing about blog articles is we have to promote it on social media. So when we create the blog articles, we're not creating them to they shouldn't just sit there. We have to actively promote them on social media because SEO takes time. But by promoting them on social media, we can start getting people immediately to go to our website, to spend time on our website. So if people are spending time on our website, they're reading our articles, then that's going to signal to Google that people enjoy our articles because Google wants to rank articles that people enjoy. So if people are spending time on our articles, they're reading our articles, then Google is much likely to rank our articles on the first page. So by promoting it on Facebook, that would increase our chances of ranking on the first page as soon as possible. So on social media, there are different groups on social media for different industries. So on LinkedIn, for example, there are different groups. There are different LinkedIn groups for different industries. These are all good places where you can promote your articles if you're a B2B business. Also on Facebook, they have different Facebook groups based on different interests, different lifestyles, different industries. So these are all groups where you can find your target customers and promote your articles in. Another thing about social media is the advertising. So you can also use Facebook ads. You can use an ad campaign to draw more people to your blog article. That could be another way to do it. Okay. Another best practice is to aim for at least 1,000 words. So when we talk about blog articles, we're not just talking about like one paragraph. So Google prefers articles that are more comprehensive because Google is focused on the user experience. It wants to be sure that people would love your article, that it's providing them with valuable information. So when it comes to our articles, we have to aim for at least 1,000 words. So how can we improve the article so that it's more detailed and we're providing more information that our prospects need? Okay. So when it comes to our articles, the structure is also really important. So have you ever come across a blog post that's just a big lump of text? So if your blog post just has a big lump of text, I can guarantee that no one is reading it. So ideally, your blog post, it needs to have a nice structure. We have to break it down into paragraphs, different sections, different paragraphs, so that people can read through more easily. So each paragraph would have a subheader, so that would make it much easier for people to read through, to skim through. Okay, so when it comes to our blog articles, it's also really crucial to make sure that they have pictures. Because if your blog articles don't have any pictures, then it would be almost impossible to rank. Because like I said, Google prefers articles that have a good reading experience. So you have to have nice pictures. You could also use illustration. You need to have a nice layout. The website needs to be fast. So when it comes to your blog articles, I recommend having at least 2 pictures per article. But the more pictures, the better. Okay. And also the mobile view, because a fraction of people would visit your blog from their mobile phones. So we have to also consider how people visiting from the mobile phone. So for example, maybe the text is too hard to read on the mobile phone. Or for example, if you have clickable elements that are very close together, that could hurt your Google rankings. For example, let's say your blog has 2 buttons that are very close together on the mobile. That would really hurt your Google rankings. So that's something to avoid as well. Okay, so let's talk about the worst practices. What are some things that we need to avoid when we're creating our blogs? So one thing to avoid is large chunks of text. So like I said earlier, large chunks of text is a killer of blogs. So if your blog just has a large chunk of text, no headlines, no subheaders, no pictures, if it's a large chunk of text, then it's going to be almost impossible to rank. So we have to break it down, make it more engaging, more interesting. We need to add paragraphs, nice images. Okay, which leads us to our next one. So if your blog post has no pictures, it's going to be very hard to rank, almost impossible, because I can guarantee you that there are other blogs that are much better. Okay. And also, if your blog is AI written, so if you're just using ChatGPT to create content and then you're just copy and pasting every single week, then that could actually cause you to get penalized because Google can actually tell if you're using too much AI. So all these AI tools, you're supposed to just be something to assist you. So you could use ChatGPT to help you come up with ideas, but you still need to refine these ideas. so that it's much more tailored to your brand, to your tone of voice, to your target audience. So you can use AI for assistance, but you still need to refine it. So if you just copy and paste from ChatGPT, then that could hurt your rankings. That can cause Google to penalize you. Another worst practice is keyword stuffing. So keyword stuffing refers to when you just stuff your blog with several keywords. And I've been through websites like that, when they just stuff multiple keywords, hoping it's going to rank. So if you're keyword stuffing, that's not going to help you. That's not going to rank well. So when it comes to our keywords, the keywords, it needs to read naturally. So people, they shouldn't even notice that you have keywords in there. It needs to flow naturally. So if you're just stuffing multiple keywords, that will make your blog look very robotic, and it's going to hurt your credibility and also your rankings. Another worst practice is pitch black text on a white background. So your blog articles, you're going to have lots of words. So if you have pitch black text on a white background, that could hurt people's eyes because they're going to be staring at your website all day. So that could hurt your eyes if you have too much contrast. So I always recommend aiming for maybe like a dark gray text on a white background, because if it's pitch black on white, that could hurt people's eyes. And like I said, we're trying to create a good reading experience. Another worst practice is long lines of text. So have you ever been to a website that they just have long lines of text going across the screen like that? I call that a Microsoft Word website, when they just have long lines of text going across the screen. So if you have long lines of text, I can almost guarantee that no one is going to want to read that. So we need to think of how can we improve our blog layout. So it shouldn't go all the way across the screen. It just needs to have a much nicer layout that's more uniform. You could also divide your blog into two columns. So maybe one column can have the text, and then a smaller column can have your business information so that they can contact you after reading. Another worst practice is tiny or low contrast text. So let's say, for example, your blog, the text on your blog is very tiny. Or let's say, for example, you have gray text, you have light gray text on a white background. All these things will make your blog harder for people to read. And lastly is the low word count. So when it comes to your blog post, if your blog posts have less than 300 words, then that's what we call thin content. If you have less than 300 words, because it's going to be very hard to rank if you have thin content. So if your blog post has less than 300 words, then we have to think about how can we increase the word count to make it more detailed, more interesting, more valuable. So these are all the worst practices. So as long as you're not doing any of these worst practices, then you have a much higher chance of ranking in the search. So one, I would advise you all to just take a moment to look at other similar blogs, similar topics that are on the first page of Google, and try to write something better than what's currently on the first page. So that's what we call the skyscraper technique. So you can look at blogs that's on the first page of Google, and then you can create something that looks and reads much better. And that would really help to increase your chances of ranking much higher, because your blog post is more relevant, it's more valuable, because Google ranks based on relevance, based on user experience. It needs to be sure that you're saying something that's relevant, that's more valuable, and that is going to have a good reading experience. Okay, so here are some examples of popular blogs that are very successful. Okay, so one example is Deliciously Ella. So Deliciously Ella is a blog for a restaurant business. So let's say, for example, you have a local restaurant, then you might consider having a blog where you talk about different recipes, different healthy foods. So Delicious Ella is focused on plant-based foods. So maybe, for example, you're a vegetarian, then you may probably enjoy this blog. So notice how your blog has a very consistent look and feel. It has a very attractive layout, very clean, very modern. So if you're in the wellness business or the restaurant business, then this is definitely a blog to take a look at for inspiration. Okay. Another example of a blog that's very popular is by Dave Ramsey. So if you're in the financial sector, you might be familiar with Dave Ramsey. So he's a well-known he has a personal brand that's focused on finances, managing your finances, and he has his own blog on his website as well. So on Dave Ramsey's blog, he provides information on financial literacy, lots of resources. So by looking at his blog, you notice how everything is very tailored to his brand. Everything is very consistent, very coherent. So by looking at his blog, that could really be a source of inspiration. So when people search for these terms, they search for these keywords because they're looking to learn more about financial literacy. And that's how they're able to find Dave Ramsey online. And he also has a YouTube channel as well that's connected to his blog. So all these things help to enhance your credibility and also your reach. He also has free tools on his website where you can calculate your finances. All these things will help to draw more people in so that they learn more about your brand. Okay. Okay, so now that we found the right keywords, we've created our blog content. The next step is we need to make sure that our blog content is SEO optimized. We have to make sure that it's optimized for, so when we talk about on-page SEO, what we're talking about is the steps that we're taking to increase our chances of ranking. There are certain steps that need to be taken. So one step is to make sure that the alt tags are added to all images. So alt tags refers to So alt tags, they would tell the search engines what the image is about. So ideally, each image on your blog should have alt tags, and the alt tags should have keywords in the alt tags. That would really help to increase your chances of ranking if you have keywords in your alt tags. Another thing is the URL. So if you have the keywords in the URL for your blog post, then that would signal to Google that this blog is very relevant to that keyword. Also the headers and the subheaders. So ideally, if you have the keyword in the headers and the subheaders, then that would also really help to increase your chances of ranking. So the goal is not to just stuff your keyword everywhere. The goal is just to have the keyword maybe once or twice in different parts. So all these things will help to increase your chances of ranking. And there are certain tools that would advise you on what needs to be done to improve your SEO. So let's say, for example, you have a WordPress website. Then one helpful tool is called Yoast. So Yoast will tell you what needs to be done to enhance your SEO. Do you need to put the keywords in the URL, in the alt tags, in the headers? Another place to place the keywords is in the body copy. So when people read your copy, it also needs to have the keywords as well. All these things will signal to Google that your website is relevant. Also, the meta descriptions and the title tags. So when people search for your website online, when they search for certain keywords, the things that people see in the search browser when they look at your website, that's called a meta description. It's the text that people see on Google when they search for different things. So by having your keywords in the descriptions, that would really help to increase your rankings as well. Okay, so now that we've optimized our blog post for SEO, the next step is the ongoing process of link building. So we have to build more links. We need more people to link to our website. So building backlinks is an ongoing process because we need more and more people to link to our website. We want credible people to link to our website. So how can we get more people to link to our blog? So one way to build links is we could reach out to other websites that link to similar blogs. So programs like Ubersuggest would actually tell you like which websites are linking to your competitors' websites, and you can reach out to those people so that they link to your website as well. Um, Also with infographics. So people love infographics. So if your blog has infographics, that could be another helpful way to build more links so that more people link to it. Okay, so another way to build backlinks is by finding broken links. So have you ever been to a website that they told you to click here, and then when you clicked on it, it took you to an error page? So that's called a broken link. So by reaching out to these websites, you can actually let them know that your link is broken, and then you can tell them to link to your website instead. And that's another really effective way to build more links. Another way to build links is with podcast interviews. So when you get interviewed on podcasts, a lot of these hosts, they're very helpful, they're very supportive, and they would be happy to link to your blog or your website. So you can provide them with your blog link, and then they would link to it as well in the show notes. So how can we get on more podcasts so that they link to our blog? Okay. Okay, so now that we've taken all the necessary steps to improve our search rankings, next is how do we track the results? How do we track the results and see how well our blog posts are doing? Okay, so one way to track results is with Google Analytics. So one mistake that a lot of people make is they create a really nice website, but you're not tracking how the website is actually doing. So one way to track the website performance is with Google Analytics. So with Google Analytics, you would receive a comprehensive overview of how your website is doing. You can see how much traffic is getting, where people are coming from, where they're going to. You can see which countries they're coming from. You can see your demographics with Google Analytics. Another helpful tool is Google Search Console. So with Google Search Console, you can see which keywords you're ranking for in the search. You can see which blog articles are attracting the most people. This is all very valuable information. You can also see which devices they're coming from. So which people come from the mobile phone, which people come from the desktop, what countries are they coming from? So by looking at how your blog posts are doing, we can now come up with ideas on how we can improve in performance over time. Another way to track results is with Bing Webmaster Tools. So like I said earlier, Bing is one of the biggest search engines. It's the second largest after Google. So we also have to consider how our website is doing on Bing. So with Bing Webmaster Tools, we could see which blog posts are ranking on Bing, which blog posts are attracting the most people from Bing. Okay. And also we have Uber Suggests that I mentioned earlier. So with Uber Suggests, you can see a website audit and you can track how your website is doing over time. You can see how your blogs are doing. You can see which is attracting the most people, the most traffic, which one is performing the best. Another helpful tool is SpyFU. So SpyFU is similar to Ubersuggest. So personally, I use them both hand in hand for a more comprehensive overview because we're trying to compare data from different sources. So with SpyFU, you can see how the blog articles are doing, how much traffic you're getting from the search. You can even compare it to your competitors to see how they're doing and how much they're spending or what they're doing. Another helpful tool is Hotjar. So Hotjar is what we call a heat mapping tool. Heat mapping. So with Hotjar, you can actually see how people are interacting with your blog. You can see where they're scrolling. You can see where their eyes are going. You can see what's attracting the most attention. This is all very valuable information. So let's say, for example, there's a certain part of your blog that's attracting the most attention. In that case, then we can put a call to action on that part to really improve our results. So by looking at how people interact with your blog, you can come up with ideas on how you can improve it, how you can enhance it, how you can optimize it. Okay, so let's look at Google Analytics in more detail. So this is what Google Analytics looks like. This is what your interface looks like. So it may seem very complicated or overwhelming, but over time you would get used to it. So if you look on the left panel, you can see a variety of different forms of data. You can see audiences. You can see the traffic acquisition. Where's the traffic coming from? So landing page just refers to which pages are attracting the most people when they land. So they have all kinds of different categories of data. But when you go to raise brand awareness, and pages and screens, you can actually see how your blog posts are doing. You can see how many views they're getting on a regular basis. You can see how many people are visiting, which blog posts are performing the best. So this is all very valuable information. Okay. And then on the other hand, we have Google Search Console. So this is what the Google Search Console looks like. So with Google Search Console, you receive a detailed breakdown on, so for example, which keywords are you currently ranking for? Which keywords are attracting the most people from the Google search? So it would tell you everything, which keywords, how often do people search for your brand online? How often do they click on it? So with Google Search Console, you can see the keywords, you can see which pages, which blog posts are attracting the most people. You can see which countries they're coming from. You can see which devices they're viewing from. So this is all really valuable information. to inform your overall strategy. Okay. Okay, so here's some final tips to increase your chances of success. So when it comes to your blog articles, I found that list posts, they tend to perform very well. So list posts refer to posts that are in the form of a list. So let's say your blog article talks about 10 ways to do something, 5 incredible facts about something. These are all good ways to create interest because when people look at these headlines, they want to know what's the first one, what's the second one, what's the third one. So by having your blog post in the form of a list, that's a really good way to attract more people to your blog post. So I usually recommend maybe a fraction of your blog post should be in the form of a list. Okay. Another thing to consider is long tail keywords. So when we talk about keywords, we're actually talking about phrases. So short phrases that we want to rank for. So we have short phrases and then we have long phrases. So long tail keywords refers to keywords that are maybe 3 to 5 words long. So these kinds of keywords, they tend to be easier to rank for. So we may consider aiming for longer tail keywords, maybe 3 to 5 word phrases that we can create content around. Another essential tip is to feature your blog on your homepage. Because for most of you on this call, I'm pretty sure that most of your website traffic just goes to your homepage. So for most people, the homepage gets the most website traffic. And the truth, so most people, they just visit the homepage and then they just leave. But by featuring your blog on your homepage, that will allow you to pull more people in so that they want to learn more. So that will allow you to pull more people in so that they don't just leave. So ideally, I would recommend maybe featuring your blog post on your homepage, especially if you have a very high performing blog post, then you can actually feature that post on your homepage. Another essential tip is to create an opt-in and a drip campaign. So let's say, for example, your blog post is doing very well. It's getting thousands of visits every single month. In that case, then a fraction of people would read and then they would leave. So there has to be a way to capture their information so that we can keep in touch with them and provide them with more information, more resources, and more promotions as well, so that they feel much more comfortable with our brand. So there has to be a place on the blog to collect their contact info, their email address, or even their phone number. So we can do this and we can offer something in exchange. So maybe we might give them a free resource in exchange, or we might even give them a discount in exchange for their email address. So by creating an opt-in, we can now start collecting emails, and then you will see that your website will become a machine that generates contact information of potential customers, and we can follow up with these customers as well. Okay, we can also create a drip campaign. So a drip campaign just refers to a series of emails that are designed to attract your ideal prospect. So let's say they visited the blog, they read the articles, they found it interesting, and then they opted in by providing their email address. We can now reach out to them via email. We can create an automated drip campaign to keep in touch with these people so that they keep receiving our emails, maybe every week, every 2 weeks, so that way they feel much more comfortable with our brand. So when they see these emails, these emails would prompt them to go back to our website so that they learn more. And then over time, we can grow our email list. Another essential tip is to leverage the highest performing blog posts. So let's say, for example, you have a blog article that's performing very well. It's getting thousands of visits every single month. In that case, then how can we leverage it? So one way you can leverage your highest performing blog post is by promoting your new products on that blog. You can promote your new services, new offers, because that page is getting so much traffic. So you can actually put promotions on that page because more people are visiting. Another way you can leverage your blog is by affiliate links. So there's companies out there that would actually pay you to advertise on your blog. So if your blog is getting lots of traffic, then you could add affiliate links on that blog. So have you ever been to a blog and then you saw like other products being sold? Those are called affiliate links. So by clicking on those, when you click on those products and you buy from those brands, then that blog would receive a commission per sale. So when you have a blog that's doing very well, then other people would want to advertise on your blog. But we have to be careful because if too many people are advertising on your blog, then that would make it look very salesy and you might lose credibility. So usually maybe just a few people, maybe like one ad or two ads on the side. Okay, let me see. Okay, so when it comes to your blogs, another way to leverage your blogs is by turning them into social media posts. So if you have a blog post that's doing really well, you can turn it into social media content. That's what we call micro content. So you could break it down into different posts where you talk about each point that's in your blog post. So the thing about blogs is that once you do it once, it runs by itself. So once you create the articles once, you can use it and use it over and over again, and it would continue to generate more interest, more prospects for you over time. So it's a much longer term strategy. Okay, another final tip is to add Facebook pixels. So have you ever been to a blog and then after you left, you kept seeing your advertisements on Facebook? That's because you had Facebook pixels. So when you install Facebook pixels, you can track the people who are visiting so that they keep seeing your ads wherever they go on Facebook. So that's another essential step to take by adding Facebook pixels. And lastly, give it a cool name. So you don't have to call it a blog. You could actually give your blog a really cool name. So a lot of blogs have really nice names. You could even just call it a resources page because people love resources. So think of what cool name can we call this blog so that it becomes much more intriguing so that people want to visit. Okay, so I really hope you found this presentation informative. Let's go into the Q&A. So if you have any questions, feel free to put your hands up in the chat and I'll be happy to help you. Okay, does anyone have any questions? Feel free to put your hands up in the chat if you have any questions. Don't be shy now. Okay, I see Thurman Cohen.
So get all this stuff done, got Google Analytics and whatnot. How often should you be checking that?
Google Analytics,
Yeah.
at least as many times as you want, but I would say at least once a month, perhaps. Yeah, at least.
Okay.
Yeah. To see how, what is, how it's been doing for that month. Maybe at the end of the month, you might check to see how it did. And that way you can know what's working and what's not working. So when you look at your analytics, it would tell you, for example, where's the traffic coming from? This is all really helpful information. Yeah. Okay. Does anyone else have any questions? Okay, I see Erica Williams.
Hi, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Okay. So earlier in the presentation, I think you had mentioned something around putting a link in like on social media in posts. I had heard that, the social media platforms don't like when you put links that take folks off of their platform. So how do
Mhm.
you maneuver that? How do you get around that?
Oh, okay, yeah, sure. So that's mostly for LinkedIn. So I would just advise you to be careful about it. So for example, for LinkedIn, one way you could approach it is that you can have your own LinkedIn article. Because LinkedIn, you're correct, they like people to stay on your platform. So you could have a LinkedIn article that just talks about your blog post, and then maybe you can have a small link at the end for them to learn more. So when it comes to LinkedIn, we just have to be more careful about it. That's all. So I would recommend I'm not talking about just spamming social media multiple times. So if you just do it a few times, then you should be fine. But you just shouldn't do it too much, too many times. That's all. Um,
Okay, thanks. I also see that sometimes people put the links in like their comments.
yeah, yes, that's another way to do it as well, by putting the links in the comments. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. There's also Quora too. That's another good place to promote your blog posts where you're free to post whichever link. So people are always searching for things on Quora. So you can like answer their question and then you can place a link to your blog where they can learn more. Personally, I've gotten leads off of Quora, so it's a really good site. You can answer questions that they asked very recently, and you can link to your blog where people can learn more about what you do. Yeah. Hello?
Thank you.
Sure. Okay, so who would like to go next? Any other questions? Does anyone else have any other questions? Let me see. Don't be shy now. Anyone else? Anyone else? Okay. Does anyone have any questions? Okay. All right. So let me ask you all a question. So how many of you have a blog right now on your website? Feel free to put your hands up if you currently have a blog on your website. Anyone? Let me see. Yeah, so if you don't have a blog on your website, then I can guarantee that you're missing out on a lot because it'll be very hard to attract people to your website if you don't have any content. So when it comes to your blog articles, like anything is better than nothing. So even if you had a few articles, that could really help to improve engagements on your website. But the more articles, the better, and the more consistent, the better your rankings would be. So some people blog just because, just to improve engagements, they just want to create content, while some people actually want to be on the first page of Google. So that's what this event was focused on. So if you're trying to propel your site to the first page of Google, then you would need a lot of blog content to really increase your reach. Um, but if you're just trying to improve your site, improve engagement, and attract more people, then you can just have a few articles to start with. And then when you promote these articles, it would really attract more people to your site. Um, Another thing is ads. So by running Facebook ads, that's another helpful way to attract people to your blog as well, like a significant number of people, you know. Um, okay, does anyone else have any other questions? Okay, does any of you have a blog that you like to visit, that you visit regularly? Let me see. Does any of you have a blog that you like to visit? Um, well, if you look on if you've ever searched for a keyword on Google, then you would see that it's usually blogs that rank on the first page. So it's usually blogs that you would see. So by having your own blog, right, that could really propel your website to the first page of Google and allow you to really build that credibility because you want your blog to show up next to the bigger companies' blogs as well. We want to show up right next to them so that, people take us more seriously because they see us next to the bigger companies as well. So through the power of blogging, you can compete with companies that are 10 times your size. You can create content that's even better, more credible and really enhance your reach. So it's a really powerful way to boost credibility and also to differentiate your brand from all the others because your content is much better. Okay, does anyone else have any questions? Final questions going once. Let me see. Okay, going twice. Anyone else have any questions? Final questions, you could also be just a thought, just a comment. Feel free to. Does anyone have a comment? Let me see. You can put in the chat as well. Okay, so if no one else has any comments or questions, then it's been a really great time. So I really hope you found this event very valuable and that you were able to gain some helpful insights that you can start applying to your business, to your website, to start seeing results. So if you have any further questions, feel free to follow up with me on Alignable. I'm on Alignable, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And also feel free to visit my own blog as well, where I provide people with helpful tips on branding and marketing. Okay, so it's been a really great time, and it's been really nice to have you all. So I really appreciate you joining, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye. Okay.